So this session is why location matters more than ever during and after COVID-19. My name is Nick Patrick. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Radar. Radar is location data infrastructure. We're in the business of helping product and growth teams build amazing location-based product and service experiences. Before Radar, I was on the product team at Handy, which is an on-demand services company here in New York, where we worked extensively with location, and was on the product team at Foursquare, which was an early location-based social app. Wanted to cover three things today. First, wanted to talk about how we see the best products and services leveraging location at Radar, how use cases are shifting during the COVID-19 pandemic, and then inspiration and advice for today and for a slightly less certain future. So at Radar, we see that the best apps use location. This is everything from store locators and address autocomplete. This example here on the left is the Starbucks app. In the middle, location-based push notifications. So everything from Google Maps reminding you when to leave for the airport or when to start your commute, to Yelp recommending something at the restaurant that you're at or pointing you to interesting things nearby, to hailing a ride in Uber, everything from showing cars on the map to being able to punch in an origin or a destination for your ride. In general, we see location-related use cases falling into four buckets. The first is search. So this is everything from store locators to address autocomplete. I'm sure most of you have punched in an address or a place name or a lat long into a search bar before and gotten some results back. So one is location-based search. The second is location-based messaging. This is kind of the classic geofencing use case of send a push notification when somebody enters a geofence. Might be a QSR app sending you a push notification when you pull into the parking lot for a curbside pickup. It might be a travel app reminding you to open your boarding pass when you arrive at the airport. Might be a ticketing app or a sports app reminding you to open your e-ticket when you're at a stadium or at a venue. The third use case bucket is location-based content. So this is an app changing the content they're showing users based on the user's current location. You can imagine a travel app that maybe changes what you see on the home screen depending on whether you're sitting at home on your couch or you're at the airport about to catch a flight, or you're at a hotel about to check in, or maybe even in a new neighborhood in a new city. So showing content relevant to the user's current location. And then finally, the last bucket is operations. So for delivery tracking or curbside pickup or fleet tracking, routing, distance calculation, ETA calculation, things like that. So four buckets of location-based use cases. And I think in general, we see that over time, the potential for building location-based products and services has only increased. Obviously, all of us are carrying around smartphones in our pocket that have GPS sensors. If you think about wearables and augmented reality and IoT, there's an increasing number of sensors and an increasing potential to build location-based product and service experiences. We think about this gap between the potential and the reality as the market opportunity for Radar. And we really do believe that every app on every device can benefit from location. So everything from shopping apps, QSR apps, travel apps, we've already talked about these, but also social apps, on-demand apps, government and municipal use cases, real estate, gaming, media, finance, the list goes on. Now, I think the big question that we want to talk through today is, if nobody's moving around, does location matter, right? If people have their smartphones in their pockets and they're not out and about triggering geofences, do we care about this stuff? I think all of us have been sheltered in place for the last couple months and probably moving around less than we typically have been. And at Radar, we believe that the answer is yes. We see the use cases shifting though. So, last year we were talking to retailers and QSRs about building in-store experiences, right? And this year we're having a lot more conversations about curbside pickup or contactless payments or delivery tracking, which obviously has a location component, right? So we see location as relevant, but we see the mix of use cases shifting. And we want to talk about three trends that we're seeing today. The first is curbside pickup and delivery. Obviously, this is great for end users. It's convenient. You punch in an order when you arrive, you pull in a parking space, and your food comes out to you. It also drives engagement, right? So oftentimes these experiences are initiated from a mobile app, which mobile app users tend to be stickier and more engaged. There's also a safety component, right? You can sort of get in, get out with minimal contact. And so this is definitely trending right now. We see location as supplementary to kind of traditional time-based or scheduled curbside pickup or delivery. So the general flow that we see is starting location tracking when a pickup or delivery starts, determining ETA as the user approaches the destination, and then triggering workflows based on ETA. So this is everything from firing an order so that your coffee is hot when you walk into the store, or your chicken fingers are crispy when you pull into the parking lot. Displaying ETAs in store, so you can imagine employees in the store prepping an order based on which users are arriving or about to arrive. Sending messages to users, so talking to some of our customers that have built curbside pickup experiences, that they find that oftentimes users will arrive at the store or arrive at the restaurant and not necessarily know where to go or what to do. So you can message users when they arrive. And so just to sort of put all this together, pickup or delivery is initiated, tracking is started, a geofence entry event might be triggered when a user is, say, 5 minutes away driving. A second geofence entry event might be triggered when a user pulls into the parking lot, and that could notify an in-store system. It could trigger a notification, sort of instructing the user what to do when they arrive at the store. And we often see customers creating geofences representing being in a store, and then sort of creating concentric geofences out from there. So you might have a circular geofence corresponding to the store, but then a polygon geofence corresponding to the parking lot, maybe a time-based or isochrone geofence corresponding to 5 minutes away driving or 15 minutes away driving, or whatever is sort of relevant to the triggers that make sense for your use case. So that's trend number one, is curbside pickup and delivery. The second trend that we're seeing is engaging and reactivating users based on region. Obviously COVID-19 has impacted different countries, cities, states, even counties and zip codes differently. And those regions are going to be coming online at different rates and maybe going back offline, hopefully not at different rates. And so it's important to be able to reactivate users based on region as specific regions come back online, but also engage users differently depending on their current region. So showing a couple examples of regions here, country level, state level, city level. You could go even more granular. And an example of, maybe a QSR app is notifying users in Houston as restaurants in Houston come back online to sort of reactivate that part of their user base. You can imagine some other examples here. So, a retail app messaging shoppers when states or cities reopen. Not just messaging, you can imagine unlocking app functionality based on the status of a region or the status of nearby stores. Maybe you're searching for nearby stores and showing a different experience if stores are open versus pickup only versus closed. You could also imagine a ticketing app or a travel app recommending different venues or showing different nearby venues or activities based on, is this open, is this restricted, is this closed? A third trend that we're seeing is measuring foot traffic and density and making decisions accordingly. So this is a dashboard from our friends at SafeGraph that shows foot traffic and changes in foot traffic by state, by county, also by category. So, sit-down restaurants versus QSRs, bars, coffee and snack bars, supermarkets, and sort of understanding how foot traffic and density differs over time. This can also translate to product and service experiences. So obviously retailers making a decision whether to reopen based on foot traffic or mobility patterns. You could also, I think we often think about location-based recommendations. You could imagine density-based recommendations where a travel app is recommending activities or venues based on density. Maybe a park is too crowded, but a museum is not crowded. So they sort of change their recommendations accordingly. You could even imagine sort of workforce management or office applications where maybe you're using beacons or other sensors and saying, hey, this part of the office is too crowded, migrate to another part of the office instead. So measuring foot traffic and density is a trend that we're seeing as well. Just to summarize, curbside pickup and delivery, reactivating and engaging users differently based on region, and measuring foot traffic and density are three big trends that we're seeing right now. The world is getting back to normal, though, slowly but surely. This is a cool graph from Apple. Apple has this mobility trends report, which is actually based on routing requests in the Apple Maps app. And you can sort of see baseline behavior on the left sort of fall off a cliff in March. It's been slowly but steadily climbing back to baseline. And I think in some cases, in some countries, actually sort of reaching or even exceeding baseline. So the world is getting back to normal. I think that being said, we believe that both old or classic location-based use cases and some of these new use cases are here to stay. And we may start to see additional trends in the future. So when we say old use cases, we mean sort of in-store experiences. We mean kind of classic geofencing, push notifications, location-based recommendations, store locators, but also new things like curbside pickup and delivery, engaging users based on region or density-based recommendations. One thing to be mindful of is we can't get soft on privacy. I'm sure a lot of you received a notification last night to download iOS 13.5. Apple is building Bluetooth-based contact tracing functionality into their operating system. Android is doing the same. We think this is actually really exciting and a really sort of smart, privacy-friendly way to do this. That being said, I do think there's a risk. 2019, in our view, was sort of a high watermark of concerns related to location data privacy. There was the front page New York Times story, I believe, back in December. And I think, just want to make sure that as we build new types of location-based experiences in this new world, we're doing it in a privacy-conscious way and not compromising, not sacrificing on privacy. Our advice, the world changes fast. I don't think any of us saw a global pandemic coming and these new use cases shifting late last year. So, as a vendor, our sort of slightly biased advice is to buy, not build, and to buy infrastructure that is flexible and adaptable and can help you respond quickly to these changes. You want a location platform that supports multiple use cases that isn't one size fits all. I think things are going to get back to normal later this year and into next year, but who knows, right? You want to be adaptable, you want to be flexible. You want tools that are affordable, right? Obviously, a lot of folks are thinking about how to cut costs right now. And you want tools that are privacy conscious so you can build this stuff in the right way. A theme of the conference today is the growth stack, which we'll talk about in a subsequent slide. But you want a tool that's integrated with the growth stack so that you can not only build these types of location-based experiences, but send your location data elsewhere and activate it and join it with other types of data. I think the other advice would be, go beyond the basics. We always talk about at Radar, geofencing beyond the push. And we think about a location maturity curve where there's sort of the basic blocking and tackling use cases around, geocoding and search, then thinking about location-based messaging. And then a lot of these fully contextual app experiences that we've talked about can be really challenging to build. Obviously unlocking a lot of value by enabling these types of experiences, but at great costs. And so at Radar, our goal is to sort of flatten the curve, not to make a COVID-19 pun, but help people get on the blue line and stay there as they continue to develop location-based features. I saw Ali asked a question about how have your clients communicated location privacy to their users effectively. I'll do Q&A at the end and definitely make sure to talk about that. Another piece of advice would be, leverage the whole growth stack. Radar is a great point solution for location. We can help you with location tracking, location-based targeting, and triggering. CDPs like Segment and mParticle can help you with collection and segmentation, both of location data, but also sort of joining location data with other types of customer data that you're collecting. Amplitude and Mixpanel for analytics. You can imagine looking at sort of location context or location events alongside the behavioral events that you're collecting, maybe understanding, not just how many users are searching or transacting in your app, but where are users searching or transacting in your app? We've talked a lot about messaging. So think about Braze and Airship for activation and engagement, and then think about Branch for attribution. I'll wrap this section with a sort of a parting thought from Vas Natarajan, one of our investors. He's a partner at Excel. He says, in a world where we aren't free to move as we please, software to organize when and where we go to minimize contact or density matters more than ever. Businesses need a location logic layer to be the data behind it all. I'd be remiss not to say, we'd obviously love to help at Radar. We think about location experiences and where this landscape is going all day, every day. We work with a number of different customers across a number of different verticals. I'm sure you recognize a lot of the logos here. Have SDKs that make it really easy to add location tracking to your app with just a few lines of code, dashboards to manage and store and segment all this data, integrations to send this to other tools in the growth stack. We support geofences that go beyond on-device capabilities and also out-of-the-box geofences, so places and regions, admin boundaries, chains or categories like Starbucks or airports. We can also detect if users are at home, at work, or traveling. We also have APIs for geocoding and search and distance that are generally very flexible and affordable relative to other solutions on the market. So that's it. Appreciate everybody taking the time today.